10, 11 of you online. So thank you all for coming. So the open house, what I want to go through today is if you're a listing agent or a buyer's agent, tips and tricks and some marketing solutions, and also how to prepare, right? The biggest thing we want to do is make sure we are prepared for our open houses. And that we can get a lead and an appointment out of it, right? So the purpose of our open house is to provide an opportunity to the public to come and view the home for a purchase without a formal appointment, whether they have a realtor or not, right? That's the whole purpose, right? A seller decided to put their home on the market with a listing agent. And one of the marketing strategies we use as a listing agent is telling the seller, hey, we're gonna do a public open house where we're gonna go ahead and do some marketing and advertising to bring some people through the door. In markets, in a normal market, sometimes it's not easy to have an appointment. Up until now, we're in a seller's market right now. We were always in a buyer's market, and so not always do we get showings during the week. Sometimes it was crickets, right? In fact, up until the shift into a seller's market, we were getting no appointments on a listing. And so we were just hopeful, holy cow, let me hold an open house and hope to God somebody comes in. So the purpose really for the open house is to try to get a buyer in that normally won't come in during the week or set an appointment so that they could see the house. Your role as an open house host or agent is twofold. The first role, primary job you have is that you represent the seller, and you represent the listing agent, and you represent the firm. So you want to make sure that you're going to assist any consumers coming in first and foremost with any information they may need to decide on whether they like the house or not, or like to buy the house or the community or the area, right? So you're an extension of the seller, you're an extension of the listing agent. So with that, you want to be mindful of cameras and audio equipment. You want to be mindful of children coming in. You want to be mindful of protecting the home. And of course, goes without saying, but I'm going to say you need to be professional, educated, and pleasant. Be encouraging and respectful, right? So that's your main role in all of this. But you wear a second hat because you're also going to be a buyer's agent. You're also going to help assist a buyer that's coming in that may not be represented. So primarily is you want to put your best foot forward in representing the seller. But your other hat that you wear is also as a buyer's agent. As wearing the hat as a buyer's agent, your goal is an appointment. Your goal is to get an appointment from those consumers walking in, and those consumers that walk into the open house are your leads. If a listing agent gives you the privilege of holding open one of their listings, those leads coming into the listing are yours, those consumers walking in, unless the listing agent specifically tells you, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones are coming in over the weekend. They have a realtor, they don't have a realtor. Sometimes listing agents will schedule people to come in during the open house because they didn't have time or there was no time, but the listing agent will specifically let you know that. But otherwise, any consumer walking in, that's your lead, right? So having known that, you're going to be wearing two hats, right? You're going to help sell the home, going to help represent the seller and the listing agent. You're also going to be a buyer's agent. You really need to educate yourself as much as possible about the house. You need to know it just as well as the listing agent knows it, right? So this is why a lot of preparation should be going into doing your open houses rather than just winging it the day before. So you want to be able to pull down all the information the listing agent has on the MLS regarding the house. Review those sellers' disclosures. Review any docs that are on the house. And go and preview the subject property. Preview all the homes for sale in the community. You can have the seller's disclosure printed out there. I wouldn't make a bunch of copies for the question was for our Zoomers, was, should we print out the seller's disclosure? I would print out one. I'd print out one of all the docs that the listing agent provided, because that's your information and the seller and our firm's information, right? So part of my sales will be that I can provide all this to you, right? So, we're not going to give out a bunch of stuff for free, right? So to speak, but we're going to look as educated and as informational as possible and as knowledgeable as possible. So yes, have all of that information printed out in a little folder for yourself. So then you could relay the information if needed, or show them that the information is available and that you're going to email it to them later, right? Preview all the homes for sale in the community, know the inventory and the market conditions of the surrounding area. One of the greatest things I did was I created a book of inventory, and I had a flyer of inventory. So right now it's kind of hard to have a book of inventory and have, because our inventory is flying off the shelves, right? So, but this is short-lived, right? This isn't a normal market. So pretty soon we're gonna get into a normal market, and we're gonna have more inventory. The more inventory that hits the market, the more you need to know. And so I would, as I go and preview homes, I'd have a flyer, a brochure of all of that inventory, and I would start to create a book of inventory. You can do that now. There's no inventory, so they're going to be looking for you for that needle in the haystack, right? So you still need to know everything that's for sale. I would go to every single builder in the community that I'm holding an open house and know what's coming, what can I purchase, what's available to build, right? Because you are the purveyor of information. You have to relay to the consumer what is available in the market, right? They can't find anything, but they're limited in what their resources are. You should have more resources than the consumer, right? So you should be able to provide to them anything and everything that's available for sale.
So we have a right to go to any builder, let them know our agents and their options, gather information.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What you should be doing now that you have no business is, this is what your afternoon should be, is going to visit every home builder. I would have their agents take me on a tour. There's tours, go to the welcome center, have the welcome center take you on a tour. Know every community as if you live in it, right? What are all the amenities? What are all, it has a pool, tennis court, basketball court, splash pad, right? You want to know all those. Cinco Ranch has, I don't know, 22 pools, 10 tennis courts, 5 basketball courts. One is a lap pool, one is, you have to know all that information, right? And so in Town Center, you could take a tour on a boat and they take you all around, right? Or Bridgeland, one of the two. Town Center. So, I mean, take those tours and know the inventory, know the community like the back of your hand. That's what being a realtor is a real estate expert, right? So this is your way of being able to do that. Also, you want to know the market conditions and the market trends. Or agent orientation, for those of you who are brand new, been to agent orientation, I took you on a tour of the MLS, right? And we saw on the Realist tax records that you can actually pull down the market trends and the market conditions report. For those of you who don't know that, after this PowerPoint, if you stay on or stay here, I'll go and I'll show you individually how to get that. But that's a great tool, right? To have the market trends and the market conditions report. So you want to have a list of inventory or a knowledge of inventory for the surrounding area. So the appointments and the leads you're going to get are obviously people who aren't interested in the house. If we get somebody that's interested in the house, well, that's common sense. You're going to give them all the information they have, and you're going to try to work out a second showing to bring them by again in person, or write an offer, right? So let's talk about the leads, the people that are not interested in the house first. So the strategy we use to motivate them to work with you is called a switch, right? We want to switch them from the subject property to another good property, another viable alternative. In other words, we want to be able to help them find another opportunity. So we're going to choose properties that have a different bed and bath count. The rule of thumb is typically people that walk in, they're looking at a house that's 30 to 40% higher than what they can really afford, right? Especially those that are just driving around. So one of the questions I always ask, is, did you find me online or are you just driving around? If they find you online, then they've already looked at the information. They know they're probably at the right price and square footage. If they're people just following a bunch of open house signs, they have no idea what they're walking into. And statistics show that majority will be walking into something more expensive than what they can afford, right? So we want to have inventory that is not just like the subject property that we're looking at, but inventory that's either lower price or higher price. This way, if somebody comes in and they're looking and, we're discussing things, we're taking them on a tour and they say, oh, this is just, this is a lot more house and, just way more than I can afford. Well, no problem. I have a bunch of great other opportunities that are $25,000 less, $50,000 less. So does that make sense? You want to have some inventory below and above where you're at. Now, if you're sitting an open house that's 250, you're not going to have $400,000 inventory, right? If you're sitting a house that's 250, I'd probably do something, between 200 and 275. Because somebody between 250, if they can afford 250, they really probably can't afford over 300. So I would have about a $25,000 window. It's a little different when you're working with upper end. If I'm sitting on a $400,000 or $500,000 house, then I will go up a couple $100,000. Because that's a jumbo loan kind of candidate. They're usually coming in with a lot of money down. That kind of candidate will buy more house and put less money down. So they have a larger stretch. When you get clientele with that upper end, sometimes you say, oh my God, they gave me this huge range. And that's why they have a choice of either putting a lot of money down or financing a lot. And so their long stretches just depending on taste really and what they can get for their money. So I have like a pretend script, like a role play here. And so if somebody says to me, I kind of want to just give you how it goes, if somebody says to me, Karen, thanks for showing me this home, but it simply isn't right for us. So they say to me, hey, this is just way too much house for the money. Then, what I would simply say is great. I put a list together, some of the best priced properties in the marketplace. I have some things priced below or some things priced above. I have some with 3-car garage. If you're sitting a house with a 3-car garage, then I'm going to have other 3-car garages to show them, right? If you're sitting something with a pool, I'm going to make sure I have a lot of other pool choices because if they're coming there with a house for a pool, they're looking for a pool, right? Does that make sense? So I'm either going to have inventory that's similar or I'm going to have inventory that's really different above and below. And I would say I have a lot of excellent other opportunities. I get off at 4 o'clock. Would you be available at 4:15 or 4:30, right? So I just have a little bit of a script here that I can walk them through.
Would we want I think some buyer's rep paper before we start taking
No,
them around?
you don't need to have a buyer's rep agreement. No. What I would suggest to do is try to get that first appointment, try to get that first meeting with somebody, get them to know you and get to establish a little bit of rapport before. Would I take them out a second and third time? That's a business decision you make. The question for Zoomers was, did you need to present a buyer's rep agreement or IABS for that matter, right at the time of doing the speech or right at the open house? And the answer is no. I'd say maybe the second or third time. And I wouldn't even do it if I had a rapport with the client and I thought we were going to work well together. I would absolutely do it if, I didn't feel that there was going to be a loyalty there. However, having said that, with fair housing, typically what you do for one, you should do for all. But the IABS and the buyer's rep agreement is stating more along the lines of representation and trying to get somebody to commit to you. So it's a little bit different than providing information to one versus another. Fair housing really doesn't want you violating um, providing the same service to everybody. So it's a little different. So if I say that I want you pre-qualified before I take you out, if I say, well, I'm only working these hours, or I say, well, I'll send you a list of homes, but I say something differently to everybody, or I provide you a different list than I provide her, or if I ask you to pre-qualify, but I don't ask her, that could be fair housing issue, right? So if you're going to have um, your business system as I'm going to pre-qualify everybody, then you need to pre-qualify everybody. And not because you didn't understand them or you thought there was a language issue or you're assuming some kind of assumption. You have to treat everybody fairly. So that's why I think the first initial visit is don't provide, that. See how it goes. Maybe you don't even want to work with these people.
Karen, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Question. So we're actually learning how to follow up with those potential leads that come to the open house, right?
Yeah,
And
I'll get to that.
correct. When
Mhm,
you mentioned something about
mhm,
pre-qualifying, I've heard many realtors that experienced ones that they say don't waste your time if they're not pre-qualified.
mhm.
How do you actually get to that conversation that they say, no, I'm not, but I know my credit is good little guy and I'm looking to buy. How do you move them to we need to get to
Mhm.
pre-qualified before we actually
Right.
start looking for houses for you?
So the question was for Zoomers is, at what point do we get pre-qualified? How hard do you push for pre-qualification? And I guess the steps of how to do that, right? So again, it's a business decision that you do. And so some agents say, don't take anybody out unless they're pre-qualified. Again, on that first visit, the first time I take somebody out, I'm going to use that as a get to know me. By the end of that first visit, I am going to have a conversation. Have you bought before? Have you not bought before? What brings you to the move? Why are you moving, right? Where are you coming from? Um, where do you need to buy? Why do you need to buy? And then, hey, by the way, have you discussed your finances with anybody? Are you doing a conventional loan or an FHA or a VA loan? Well, no, I don't know what kind of loan I'm getting. Oh, so that means you probably haven't pre-qualified with a lender. And then if I see a look on their face like they don't know what pre-qualify is, then I'll explain to them what the pre-qualification process is and why is that important, why that's important, right? It's important because they need to know how much they can afford to buy, how much they can put down, and you can tell them this is a very heated competitive market. So a seller is going to need to know what kind of a risk you are. And so my job is to leverage that and make sure you get your offer through, right? So I would not approach that maybe on my first initial visit. I want to establish rapport. But on my second and third, absolutely, you want to make sure they understand what they're getting themselves into, right?
Because you can help them get pre-qualified, right? You can point them to a lender, but I think
Mhm.
to her point, the main thing is to establish a relationship. So
Mhm.
that way when they do get approved, you're still their person instead of just
Mhm.
sending them away and
Yeah.
getting them getting pre-approved and going to somebody else. The
Mhm.
other thing, just real quick, because I've been showing people, houses already and stuff, you cannot make an offer without a pre-approval letter. So I've
Mhm.
used that also.
Yeah.
So I did what you said, like I met with her, showed her one, and then we
Mhm.
had the conversation, started talking a little bit more about her time frame and stuff.
Right.
She wasn't pre-approved. But I told her, I said, well, if you're ready to move now, which is what she said, I said, go ahead and get you, applying with a lender. I said, I'll give you some names of it because you can't even make an offer right now without a pre-approval. I said, every single house that I've shown, it requires a pre-approval with the offer. I said, so we'd be wasting our time for you to say, hey, I want that one. You don't have to pre-approval letter. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah,
Right.
let's get it going. I've just been having to explain how fast it is to be right now.
Exactly. Hey, Brian. Yeah, we got a bunch of Zoomers on too. Yeah, we're zooming. So, yeah. So very good point, and absolutely true, because you cannot write an offer today without a pre-approval, right? And so that's the conversation and explaining the process to them. I could tell you one thing, guys, the biggest help I had in the beginning in having confidence and being able to land people is I knew my contract. And if you know that 1 to 4 family and you know what is required, if you know every dang paragraph and field in that 1 to 4 family, you use that to your advantage. I use that contract to my advantage to land sellers and buyers to this day. Because if you know what's in the contract, you can now explain to them what the process is. You can now explain to them an expectation of what's coming down the pike. And then that just makes you so knowledgeable. It's not just about the inventory, it's your ability to walk them through and escort them word by word, paragraph by paragraph through the legal contracts and addenda that we have. That's your strength.
But really, the contract is the storyline of the whole transaction.
It is.
So,
and if you when you study the contract, you actually realize it is in chronological order of how an escrow goes. Believe it or not, it kind of walks you through. So, getting a list of active homes in the community, things that are available to 25 to 50,000. Let's see, list of homes that are sold in the area in the last 6 months. I would do a comparable so they could see what's gone on the last 6 months. Because our market is so heated and fluid and changes weekly, I would actually shorten that down right now for this market to 3 months. In a normal market, we're at 6, but for now, I'm even doing, suggest you do your CMAs at 3 months. 6 months is now too old. Have a contract ready in a folder to write an offer on the spot. I always had a listing agreement and all of my buyer agreement, addenda, and disclosures with me at all times. And if somebody had a question and I'm talking to somebody, they're asking me about flood or whatever, I pick out, when you write a home with me, I make sure that we have this disclosure. And this is a flood disclosure, explains this and this. And I have an in-house insurance person. I have an in-house lender person that will go through this. I use those documents to show, great question, or let me help you with this, or I have a disclosure that explains that. Does that make sense? You're going to use those documents to your advantage.
So where do we get, so where do we get the foreclosed home list? Is there a list that we can?
You can search for those on the MLS. There's a field, foreclosure field. And I'll show that to you after my last slide. I'll take you
Thank
there.
you so much.
Yeah, no worries. I'll even show you where the VA, FHA foreclosed ones are. You're not going to have money right now, but I think next year this time we're going to have a load full. There'll be a lot. So anyway, let's have a buyer package put together for them with lender information, community information, your buyer's presentation. Keller Williams has a buyer's presentation along with a listing presentation. And in that buyer's presentation, it walks the buyer through the buying process. And you can customize that for your profile and your business information in there. I absolutely would have home warranty information in there. And of course, the neighborhood market trends and property profile reports. So if you have a great buyer package to give to them with a bunch of community information, contract information, services, how this is going to go, lender information, then you have information about inventory in there, I think you would look pretty educated and pretty well put together right? It'll establish a level of respect with you versus the other ones they're going to go see that day, right? So it's all about service and your knowledge. You want to know all the home builders that have opportunities in the area. Suggest a different type of home as an opportunity. So when I question people, sometimes if they give you the time of day and you can have a conversation, if not, you have this on your first or second appointment with them. But sometimes they don't know what's available to them, right? So if I ask them, they say, well, we're really looking for a 1-story. Okay. Can I ask, why do you need a 1-story? Well, we just like everything on the same floor, or, I just feel like the rooms are bigger, whatever the case may be. Then I might suggest, and then they say, well, and we need like an office, or we need a hobby room. And if I can't find any 1-stories with that extra flex room, I'm going to say, would you consider a 1.5-story? A 1.5-story just gives them a flex room option or game room option upstairs. And they might say, well, I never thought of that. Or I never seen one. Can I see one? And then you show them that. So you show them a different type of opportunity that might work for their lifestyle and their family, right? I always hear this adage, buyers are liars. And I say, well, the buyers to you are liars because you didn't ask enough questions to really find out what it is that they needed. If you're both not on the same page, then there's a miscommunication, right? It's your job to weed that out, right? There's a house for everybody. You just need to find out what it is. So what is their lifestyle? Is there a location they have not thought of that would provide the lifestyle that they want? Maybe they're stuck on, they're coming from out of state and all they hear is Cinco, Cinco, Cinco. I heard a lot about this back in the day. And you'd say, well, we have a lot of other communities that are just like Cinco. There's Pine Mill Ranch, there's Churchill Farms, there's Cross Creek Ranch, right? Make sure that they're aware of all the other surrounding locations and areas that there are. It used to be that you didn't want to go north of I-10. There wasn't enough school or educational opportunities. Well, that's all changed and different, right? So just kind of make sure that, just don't forget to think outside the box, I think is point out that we have a lot of great communities with a lot of great choices. And how are you going to know that? If you go out and preview all the communities, right? If you went and you've seen every damn community that has something for sale, you're going to know, right? If they say, well, my kid is studying to be an Olympic swimmer, then you're going to know every single community that has lap pools, right? They're not interested in the recreation. They're interested in the lap pool or the swim team. There's communities that specialize in swim teams for the community. So, that's your value, right? That's the knowledge that you need to get. So let's talk about preparation. We talked about preparation and knowing inventory. Let's talk about physically preparing to get as many people through the door as possible. So when you selected your house, you did your preview, you did your inventory. So you've got all that down, right? Now you want to provide to your sphere and your clientele flyers and invitation to your event. And typically, if you pick an open house on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you'll have time to get things out. If you get something in the mail on a Wednesday and you're holding open house on Saturday, Sunday, it typically will get there. Obviously you're staying in the community, right? Common sense. If you're mailing something to California or New York, it's not going to get there in time, but local mail. So provide to your sphere and clientele flyers and invitations to the event. You can plan a basket giveaway, a gift card giveaway, a dining giveaway. You can advertise that in your flyers. Door knock or deliver the day before invitations to the surrounding area. I did a 10-10-10 rule where I did the 10 houses to the left, the 10 houses to the right, the 10 houses to the front, and the 10 houses in back. So I did my 40 houses before my open house. And the reason is also because they might know somebody that's needing to move into an area. With inventory being short, everybody's talking to everybody. If I have a friend who is in another community and she is on that community's page and I have a listing and I'm a listing agent, I'm sending it to them. Hey, put this on your community page. So you can do the same. Hey, I'm holding an open house. I know inventory is tight. Get this out to your peeps. You have to be aggressive with it. Social media landing and squeeze pages promoted daily prior to the event. I would be posting every day on my social media. Bren is really great. Command has these really great landing and squeeze pages that will actually register people in or collect information and put that lead right into your command system. I think Bren did a class on Friday on how to do this to attract people to your open house on the landing and squeeze pages. So she has a recording of that. So make sure you listen to that recording.
She actually showed us how you get the sport code.
Yeah.
You don't need to write their info, but
Yep.
you take a picture and they go straight to command. I thought that was
Yep. So imagine if you get that up and running on a Wednesday and you're working Saturday and Sunday, right? The whole deal is you can't do this last minute is you're preparing for this event, right? If you expect to not do anything and throw your signs out on a Saturday and you got 3 signs out there, you know what? You probably, now you'll get people in because there's no inventory. On a normal market, you will get nothing. So Facebook open house event, advertise your open houses using Facebook events and boost your post. Personal handwritten invitations. This is for a listing agent to invite your 5 top producing co-op agents to stop by with their customers. If you're a listing agent and have a listing, you should absolutely be handwriting a note and calling them because again, their listings are going on the market. They're selling in a day and they get 5 phone calls. So if I'm listing a property today, I'm calling all the agents that have listed something in the last 2 weeks and any selling agents and letting them know, hey, you know, here's my listing. Although they probably see it already, but you can also let them know coming soon. Balloons, yard art, banners, draw attention, open house signs in every corner. For you brand new agents, you want to make sure you put some money aside to buy open house signs. Those things is the next best thing to business cards. A personalized open house sign with your name and your phone number on it. And if, you know, if I'm doing an open house, I'll put out 10, 15, 20 of those suckers all over the place because that's advertisement for you, right? And you imagine if you do that every weekend in the same community, in the same area, what does it look like? You're working. Your name is out there. Doesn't matter that it's on one listing. How do you think Nicole Freer got successful? The only reason Nicole Freer is successful is because she bought 100 open house signs, and from day one, every listing had 100 open house signs up and down the thoroughfare, everywhere. That's her claim to fame. Have a lender accompany you to the event, have a home inspector at the event to meet and greet. Those are 2 great folks that I always loved having in my open houses because a lender could talk to people, a house inspector could, you know, can't inspect the house, common sense, but a home inspector gets to talk about their services and how they're going to work with me and how it works during an option period and the services that they could provide. I would have a home inspector that works with me now that's offering reinspection for free. I would have a home inspector that's offering services to go on a preview with me and my client. If I'm having to compete and write offers and do away with my option period, I would probably have somebody that comes along with me. If I know I only have 2 houses that my buyer can buy, I'm having my home inspector come with us. He can't really inspect the house, but he's another set of eyeballs that can go around the property. And then my client would feel a little bit better with waiving her option period, right? So just, you know, service. Fun neighborhood events is an ice cream social, taco truck, those kinds of things. I would do evening twilight events where I would have wine or mimosa, those kinds of things. If I did early morning, you know, right after church or something, I would have like mimosa. I mean, you have to be common sense, right? For clientele, if it's upper end, you know. Um, be careful with food and stuff if, you know, you're gonna have children and those kinds of things walking through. But just ideas. Be mindful and be careful, but make it fun. Giveaways, those kinds of things. If you are the listing agent, you want to make sure you give your homeowners a checklist in advance to get the house ready and prepped for an open house. I tell my owners to maybe plan a trip away for the event, the pets to be restrained and taken away. This was a little really hard with COVID. We just did virtual. If you have a client to this day that's still afraid of COVID, then, you know, having them only leave for an hour or two is probably all that they can do because there's really nowhere else to go. But if they're the type of people that are going out and about now, I would just tell them, you know, just plan a few hours away and go and do something. Hi, guys. It's Terry Montgomery, Kristen Mann, and Mary outside. I got Zoomers on here, so I'm talking to our Zoomers and our peeps in here. So I know. So some of the Zoomers, why is she waving? Okay, guys, I'm waving. Yep. So plan on refreshments. You know, ask the seller, are you okay with refreshments or just bottles of water? Definitely not fruit punch and things that are going to stain. Crackers and cookies that crumble and make a mess all over the place. You absolutely do not want to do that. Talk to your sellers about security. And definitely make sure you plan in advance and let them know in advance that you're doing an open house. There's nothing worse than springing on a seller last minute. Hey, we're doing an open house, and they're not prepared. It doesn't show that you are very professional and prepared. You want to send flyers out to other companies, highlighting the features. You want to have a nice supply for the home and the listing. And I always provide it to the agents who were hosting open houses for me. I always provided a supply of flyers for them. This way I controlled the information that was being, yeah, that was, you know, I had a little bit more control. I would make a little package for my hostesses so that they had all the information they needed. Brokers open house invitations. Brokers open house. These are really great to have to invite other agents and other brokers. This would be more along the lines where I'd be more comfortable with the mimosa or the wine kind of thing. These are other professionals in the industry that you're going to have a select invitation. I would always either, I had it catered or I had a nice lunch or a nice brunch brought in, especially if I was doing luxury upper end. And I would invite, again, those agents in the last 30 days who have listed something or sold something in the area. And this was a private event just for them.
And so real quick, a lot of this prep, I'm not saying is it just because whether you do it right or not, the house is going because I'm not seeing a whole lot of.
Yeah, right now.
Is it just because it's gonna sell?
Yeah, right now, you don't need a lot of skill to do anything or prep work to do anything because the houses are just flying off the shelf. That is not going to be the case
So, no,
this year, next time. But yes, normally, yes, you want to do. And you want to do all this prep anyway, or, you know, even if you're going to get only one in, because it just shows a level of service when you're the listing agent anyway. Because a lot of the times I got a lot of listings just from my open houses because other homeowners would see all the effort I went into it. And they said, man, you know, Karen did such a great job with, you know, Mary and Bob's house, you know, let's call her, you know.
They were your listing. Like you did your own listing.
Yeah. And you could do the same if you were an open house agent for another listing agent, you put the same prep work in. So a progressive open house without a brokerages. I don't know if any of you've been in the business to do any one of these long enough, but what a progressive open house is, in a normal market, we'd have 5 or 6 or 10 homes for sale on the same, within 2 or 3 blocks of each other at the same time. So we would all get together and we would do a progressive open house where we'd do a giveaway. So I'd be Keller Williams, I would be the first stop and I would have appetizers. And then my friend with Remax down the block, she's the next stop and she has, the entree. And then the next one could be a Century 21 listing around the corner. She's the third stop and she's dessert. And the folks had to go to each one and sign in and there was a gift card giveaway. And so you could do that as a broker thing, or you could do that as a public event. So it just all depends. We've had markets where we're really slow. It's a buyer's market and the poor seller, their homes are sitting on the market 6 months, 9 months to a year. That's part of our business, right? So that market will be coming around soon. And you need a lot to do to try to get it sold. And this is another way of doing that, getting people through the door. Survival kit. So you want to make sure you got business cards, some kind of guest registry, a paper sign-in sheet, or our digital open house QR code with command. Hooray! We want a comparable or CMA on the subject property. I always liked having some kind of soft, gentle music playing. I either brought in a Bluetooth speaker or I had the homeowners. I would meet with them early and have them prep the home and have some nice music playing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can ask if you're the host, ask the listing agent. Couldn't get. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So getting the question was asking for a Wi-Fi password. So yeah, you ask the seller for the Wi-Fi password. And make sure, because of COVID, that you have sanitation supplies, wear your name tag, air fresheners. If it's a vacant property, chairs to sit on.
Call it a garbage bag.
A garbage bag? Yeah. Booties, garbage bags.
So question, that CMA is just to have like in the main table that we would be
Mm-hmm.
to look at? Or
Yeah.
is it, several printouts that they can take with them?
Yeah, the question was, should we have one CMA or a bunch made out for the consumers, the public to take with them? I would just do one. And I would show folks, that if they asked, hey, do you have a CMA or do you know what the house is worth? Yes, I have one, and I'll provide that to you. When you register in, please make sure you put the proper email in and I'll send you one. I never gave anybody, I would say I can give that to you. Just make sure you register in your proper email and I'll send that to you. Safety. Make sure your success buddy or family member knows where you are. A success buddy is just a working partner. Unlock deadbolts, get familiar with your exit. So rule of thumb is just to keep the back door unlocked, because if the front door is blocked, you have another way to get out of the house. Make sure your cell phone is fully charged, have hand sanitizer, gloves, booties. All your expensive belongings, lock in the trunk of your vehicle. Do not wear expensive jewelry or watches, or have your designer handbags out. So many times I see agents have their Coach, bags hanging out and all of that. And that's such a no-no. The only thing I bring with me inside of a listing is my cell phone and the information that I need for the house. Everything else should be locked away in your trunk. Yeah, I could take it. Mm-hmm. You just don't want to be flashy, showy. Just be mindful. Okay, Put out your signs and flags as early in the day as possible. Note, master plan communities may only allow 1 hour. For others, set them up early in the morning. If I was in a community that I could set them out the night before, I was putting my signs out the night before. If not, I would go 7 in the morning, and I would have signs that said open house today, 2 to 4. I would try to use the whole day to my advantage as best as possible. At the very bare minimum, 20 minutes prior to your start time, your signs can go out. Make sure you arrive to the home early. If I'm hosting and the agent says, okay, you're there 2 to 4, I would say, please make sure the homeowner is aware. I'll probably be there around 1:45. Because you want time to get things up and running, lights on, windows open, unlock the door, get to familiar with the house where everything is. If they have a media room or more importantly, a theater room where it's actually set up for theater, I would ask the homeowner to have a nice Disney movie running. Or Mission Impossible, where if they're leaving all the equipment, surround sound's going on. If they have a pool and spa, have the waterfall running. You want to have the features showed off. Have the waterfall, the theater room, what else? You know, you've got butler's pantry with a wine room and a wine chiller. I'd ask them, please unlock it so I can show people, you know, the wine grotto, unlock wine grottos. Lots of people like to lock those. Have them unlocked so you can show people the grottos, those kinds of things. If the feature of the house is a 3 or 4 car garage, well, make sure you have access and keys to show off the 3 or 4 car garage, right? So make sure whatever special feature this property has, that you have the ability to show it off, you know, accentuate positives. Open all lights and drapes, get your soft classical music going, soft jazz, elevator music. Not a house party stuff, but you know, some some soft, easy listening stuff, right? If the home is vacant, allow parties. Okay, so with a lot of traffic coming through, just kind of have some common sense. If you're doing something late at night, it's dark out, and you got a lot of people coming through, it's okay to have one party in, lock the door, ask folks to wait outside, and escort one at a time. Just have to remember, put yourself in the home safety first. Is it appropriate to have 30 or 40 people walking through, running amok, and you don't know where anybody is? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's your time to, you know, have confidence and say, I'm sorry, please wait outside. You can do one at a time. We don't want things broken, things stolen. You need to watch what's going on, but you also have to watch your safety. So, you know, if you have 10 people in there, is it safe for you to be running all over like a chicken without a head either? No. So have 2 or 4 in at a time and kind of watch them at a distance of what's going on.
You usually have the doors locked. Like you would
The
tell
front
people.
door would be locked, the rear door would be open. When people go upstairs, I would sit mid-landing of the stairs and I'd let them go and walk through. I wouldn't go up there, I'd be mid-landing, so this way I can work my way back down. And I didn't feel like I was hovering over them, but I didn't let them go upstairs and I stood in the kitchen or in the master bedroom, not know what's going on. Always had an eye and an ear of what's going on, right? And then when you escort people through in front of you, not behind you. Yeah, if the house is empty, exactly. If the house is vacant, different ball game, right? How are my Zoomers doing out there? I don't see anything in the chat, I don't think. Okay, greet and meet.
Doing good.
Hey. Do I got a question or you're just saying, hey, you're checking in?
Just a Zoom working in, letting you know we still hear you.
I know, it's breaking up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna say you're saying hi. Hi. Okay, let's keep on, greet and meet. So we're gonna greet with a head nod. Do not assume it is appropriate to shake hands. It may not be cultural or COVID appropriate. So the 3 Cs, culture, COVID, and comfort. So it's not always appropriate to just go ahead and assume you're gonna shake somebody's hand. So I would always kind of greet, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Karen Clements with Keller Williams Premier, and hand out my business card. Hand them your business card, introduce your name, ask them their names, and repeat back their names. When the easiest way to memorize somebody is you kind of repeat it, right? And this is the biggest thing. Everybody says, man, I just met them, and they're walking out like, geez, what was their name? Who are they again? Because your mind is going 50 miles an hour, right? So if you introduce yourself, you say their name, and then you keep repeating it, right? I always had a clipboard with me, and as soon as, I made an introduction, I was jotting their name down. And this way, as I'm walking them through, or I'm establishing a rapport, or we're talking and having a conversation, I'm writing notes down. If you can, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you get body clues, right? And sometimes you can tell when somebody just wants to kind of walk on by with you. So here's a sample of what I would say. Hello and welcome to 1313 Mockingbird Lane. I'm Morticia Adams. With Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, Gary Green, that's what's in there. But no, we're going to say Keller Williams Premier. And you are welcome, Brian and Tricia. Here is my card. May I ask, did you find this house online or just driving through? Just driving through online? Great. I provided a brochure and helpful information about the home and the neighborhood. The sellers say thank you and appreciate you coming to view the home to purchase. Before you leave, I will need to ask you some questions about the home and provide that information to the seller. We will need to also have you register in. Will that be okay? Great. I hope you're excited about the home, and I'm here to help provide any insights you may need. So you welcome them, and right away I say, the seller thanks you for coming by. Take a look around. I'm going to need to ask you a few questions before you leave, and I'm going to ask you to register in. Will that be okay? And if they're not, they can walk right back out and go. And are they going to do that? No. But I set the expectation up now. I'm going to allow you in. The sellers welcome you, but before you leave, you're going to answer some questions and you're going to register in. This way, I set the expectation up as soon as they walked in the door. We talked about the children I have in there must be controlled. You can't allow them to run amok. We already talked about that. If they have a realtor, ask the realtor's name to be provided to the listing agent for follow-up. So if they say to me, oh, I have a realtor right away, great. What's your realtor's name and what company are they with? You can give them a packet right in the beginning when they walk in, or at the end, I kind of play that by ear. I usually like to leave it towards the end as I'm establishing rapport. If I feel they're kind of standoffish, I give it in the beginning. Just depends. You have to use your gut feeling. You're working with the public. Part of your sales skills, the longer you're in the business, is knowing how to work with people and reading people. Here's a list of questions I put together as you're walking through, or at the end, that you can ask. I love the one, do you own a home in the neighborhood? That one tells me right away if they're a seller looking to list. Is this home for you or a family member? This tells me, are they looking for, we have a lot of folks that are looking for other people. It's a heated market right now. Folks can't get in town. So they have, the aunt and uncle, the mom and dad looking for them. They have friends looking for them. So it's helpful to know, hey, are you looking, or is this for somebody else? They say, oh no, I'm looking for, my mom and dad, they can't fly in. Great, I could do a video tour for you. Would you like me to do a video tour and I could send it to them? Are you planning on purchasing in the next 2 to 3 months? I also like, are you leasing right now? I don't have that written in here, but are you leasing right now? Oh, yes, I am. Oh, great. When does that expire? How soon are you needing to move into the home? That works with somebody who's leasing or somebody who owns a home. Does this home match what is on your needs list? Does this home match what is on your wants list? And I love this one. Listing agents love when you ask this question, you can give them answers to this. Is there something the homeowner could do better to make this a better fit for you? And that's because someone will say, oh, I don't like the kitchen. What don't you like about the kitchen? Is it the cabinets? Is it the countertop? Is it the layout? Or they say, oh, I don't like the yard. The yard doesn't work for me. What doesn't work for you about the yard? Is it too small? Is it too big? Did you want to put a pool in? You know, if they say, oh, it's just too small, we wanted to pool in, and I know you can put a pool in, or the homeowner has had plans up for a pool, how great you could say, oh, no problem. You know, these homeowners thought that too, and they had a pool company come out, and they can put a pool in. Here's a rendering. You know what I mean? So as you kind of ask certain questions, it either can help the homeowner fix things, or you can sort of handle an objection that comes up right then on the spot.
Sorry, Karen, and if it's like there's no space for a pool, so
Mhm.
what would be your reaction to that?
You know what? I kind of knew that somebody walking in might want a yard with a pool, and I have a list of great opportunities that are just a few blocks away that you can put a pool in. Or I have some great opportunities that already have the pool in it. I get out at 4. Would you like to go see them? So the question is, if they said that the yard was too small and they want to put a pool in. That's why you have the list of great opportunities you can switch them to. Once you get their information, and if you use your QR code, it's going to go into command. So follow up, follow up, follow up is most important. I always had a hard time with how do I contact with these people right away? And so that's why I liked the giveaway. So I liked having some kind of giveaway that I was giving, because for me, it made it easier to go ahead and contact somebody afterwards to say you won, and I have a gift for you. May I drop it off? I would drop it off at their work. I mean, we're COVID, people aren't at work anymore, so you drop it off at their home. Things are changing, people back at work. Why I liked bringing something to their work is because their coworkers and everybody else would see it. I liked making a big deal about it. And then I would put that on my social media. Hey, I gave this great basket away, or I gave this away.
But you would normally contact most of the leads
Mm-hmm.
and do the same.
Yeah.
So you would tell them, oh, you want a prize,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
you give one to everyone.
Yeah. You can give a $5 prize to everybody. You can give a $5 Starbucks gift card to everybody. You know? What I also did was I teamed up with local people in the area. I mean, restaurants and people are hurting right now. And so I would team up with my favorite little Mexican place or ice cream shop or coffee house and say, hey, I'm doing an open house this weekend. I wanted to give a giveaway. You know, if I pay for a $5 gift card, would you give away a biscuit with it, or scones or something like that? And the two of you work, and I'll be promoting you and your company. So work with other businesses that will help you with giveaways and getting their name out there. And your name will be on the flyer. Your name will be on all the information that I hand out. Work in tandem with somebody else. And I had lenders and those people too, but the little giveaway, the cupcake, the bundt cake, the buntini, those things, people love the ice cream, especially if you're in a community that has, you know, a little local favorite place, right? Cross Creek Ranch has the Cocoa Crepes place. How fun is that to give away a little coffee or an ice cream there, or a soda there? It's in their local community. And I'd say get a chance to learn about your community. Write a thank you note to everybody that came through. Follow up to the listing agent. So remember what the role and the purpose was from slide 1, right? Is we represent the homeowner and the seller. And while you're out for these 2 hours, the seller is somewhere dreaming and hoping that you sold their house. They had to pack up their family for the last 2 hours, and all they could think on their mind is, gosh, I hope they sold my house. I hope somebody walked in. So it's really, really important that you give feedback to the listing agent right away. I always made it a habit before I left the house. I was emailing the listing agent with, you don't have to give them details. It's just how many people came through and what did they think? They liked it, they didn't like it. And because you asked really great questions, they said they didn't like the kitchen because of this. They didn't like the yard because of this. Don't give the listing agent details about them, family of 4, works in here, blah, blah. Give them information that's feedback to their client, the seller. And if you work that way and you do a great open house, guess what? That listing agent is going to love you, remember you, and refer open houses to you going on down the road. Yeah. So if you do a good job for the listing agent, now you've established a relationship with another great listing agent. And boy, don't you want them calling you first? Hey, I got a great listing coming up. Can you work this open house for me? So twofold, you want to do a great job for the listing agent so they refer you more business to work.
Would you suggest that we have our own signs, or should we ask them?
You want your own signs because you want to promote you. But if you don't have them in the beginning, you have to use that other, use what you have. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I'm going to do an open house from somebody, I'm putting my signs out.
Oh, wait, if you're doing an open house for someone else, you're putting your own?
Yes.
That's the point of doing it, so that you can market yourself.
Yes.
Get a potential client, but you want to be able to, like you said, put order a couple with your logo and your picture on it. Because on the flyer is already their picture, their name as the listing agent. So it's okay. You create it.
You should create your own flyers that promote you, your own open house signs. Yes. Yes. Your job is to get the leads coming in. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like a marketing test for you. Because they were giving us the opportunity to have leads.
No, you should be marketing yourself and your business.
So our duty is to give all feedbacks to the listing agent.
Yes.
All the information that we get from those leads are ours.
Or is yours. Yes. So you're going to give all the feedback to the listing agent as to why or why not they didn't like the home, but those leads are your leads.
But when you mentioned that as a listing agent, you provide all of the marketing information, is it with your information or is it just?
I'm going to provide them marketing information about the house, their feature sheet. For a listing agent, you want to make sure that the world at large knows all the latest and greatest about the house. So if you're holding this open for me, I'm going to make sure you have that information so you know.
But it's not that your pictures would be there and your personal information would be there.
I'll give them the information. It probably has my stuff on it because I am not going to create more marketing expense. Then that's up to you to take that information and make it your own and brand it yourself. Yeah, I'm going to provide information to you as a listing agent to educate you, but then you can take that information and rebrand it on your own marketing materials. Did everybody in Zoom land understand that? I hope. Okay. The question was, if the listing agent gives you marketing materials as the open house hostess, do you have to use that listing agent's marketing materials? And the answer is no. You're going to get that information so you're educated, but you're going to use your own branding on it. Okay. I think now I just Okay. Pre-qualification, again, before you spend a lot of time showing someone property, it's smart to have them pre-qualified with a lender. Also conduct a buyer's interview to determine their exact needs. You're gonna do this not on the, establish rapport first. And then at some point in time, you really want to get down to the nitty gritty. I would always have a consultation with them to find out exactly what it is, what they need, what they want, the time frame in which they need to get all this done, and then their financials, right? How are we going to get this done? And part of my consultation is having my disclosures, my contract, my addenda, all there in front of me at the same time, because I say to them, okay, the buying process is twofold. One is finding the house, and I always say that could be the easy part. The second is the contract and the escrow and the negotiations. And I give them a sample. This is what it's going to look like. Take these home. This is the sample. And I walk them through it a little bit. I kind of give them an idea, set them up as an expectation. This is a contract. It's 11 pages long. There's a lot of terms in here. There's a third party that discloses the finance. So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this is why I asked you to get pre-qualified, because we're going to have to disclose to the seller your finances. I have to disclose to the seller the type of finances that you're using. There's an option period process. Do you have an inspector? Do you know of an inspector? I can provide one to you. I can provide 3. And also in the contract, we're going to ask the seller to provide to you a 1-year home warranty. Do you know what that is? I explained that. Here's 3 choices of a home warranty that you can use. And then I tell them, when we find something ready to write an offer, I'll do a net sheet for you so you know ballpark what your expenses are going to be. And so I would have a lender that has an app that can do a net sheet for me. You can use a finance net sheet on HAR. Because I want to make sure that the buyer understands all that's entailed, right?
A finance.
A finance worksheet, net sheet, so they know what proceeds they need.
How do you find?
Because there's down payment money, there's lender's closing costs, and then there's escrow costs, right? So a lender's just going to talk about their costs, right? And then they got to figure out their down payment, and then they got to figure out the escrow costs, right? Buyer closing costs under the financials and under matrix. That's providing service. If you can help them navigate those waters, boy, you've really got a raving fan, and they're going to be using you.
You mentioned
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the question is on those vendors who we should know and have information for, and that is the lender, home inspector, home warranty, title companies.
Or is that?
You don't have to worry about appraisers, no.
I made a sheet just to give the client the
Mm-hmm. Preferred vendors. Mm-hmm.
carpet for people, movers. You
So-
made a sheet with all of that?
So if your seller is your client and you're the listing agent, before I go to the open house, I use that time to meet and greet and spend some time with them. If I'm the listing agent, I'm doing my own open house. This is a nice time for you to go and visit, right? Discuss price changes, condition changes, discuss any bonuses or incentives that you may need to be offering. Discuss your market plan for the upcoming week. Thank them for the open house. For those of you who are in Ignite, this is you need to track your contacts and how many people that you talk to. And that's for the whole week, you know, the door knocks that you did, the invitations that you sent out, the calls that you did, and then the people coming in. Those are all your contacts. Make sure you track those and get all of those people into your command. Remember, people that you may meet this weekend, they may not be looking to buy or sell, but maybe you can add them to your contact list.
What do you say to someone when you're door knocking? You want to get their information.
So if I'm door knocking, I'm inviting them to the open house. I'm just inviting them to the open house. Mhm.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I give them a flyer.
Mhm. Yeah. You know, I could say, you know, would you like a private showing? You know, do you have family members? They say, oh, I've got family members that are coming in and looking. Great. Would you like a private showing just for them? I can meet you before the open house starts. Why don't you give me your number and your email? We could set that up. The question is, if I was door knocking somebody and they showed interest, or I would ask the question if you know somebody. So I'm gonna end this. So that concludes that. Do I have any questions from anybody out in my Zoomer land? Was that good stuff or what? Did you find that helpful?
Very good. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Hey, Paris. Nice
Hey,
to see
honey.
you, girl.
Good to see you too. Miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too. I'm glad you were able to hop on.
I'll see
So
you this
if
week.
thank you. So if you guys have any marketing questions, how to do command registration sheet, of course, the Bren. Questions regarding signs and signage, of course, see Miss Karen. She can help you guys with that. And so this should cover everything soup to nuts, except the technology part of it. So, all right, so I think we're good. So, hey, look at that, just a little bit over an hour, but it was good to see all you guys. And I've got contracts class coming up and leases coming up. Please, please sit in on those. I'm actually going to have handouts for that. So what I want you guys to get used to, please, is registering. So do you all know how to register for class? Right on the calendar there. And that's because I'm going to have lunches provided and materials, and I do not want to be wasteful, and I want to make sure everything is accounted for. And for the Zoomers, I need you to register too. Some of these classes, I'm going to be working with Kristen to turn them into CE. And this way I'm going to reach out to those. Some of these, if I turn it into CE, I'll be able to give you CE credits. That's why I want you all just kind of registered on there. So just FYI, what's
Will
coming
do.
down the pipe. Awesome. So, all right, well, bye you guys on Zoom, and I'll see you all soon.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.